I'd just like the front benches change over. I come to the urgent question. John Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To ask the Minister to make a statement on the reporting and acceptance of ministerial gifts and hospitality.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to update the House on action that the Government will take to enhance transparency around ministerial gifts and hospitality. Transparency is a critical part of restoring public faith in politics, and the Government recognises the changes are needed. Under the last Government, the rules for ministers declaring hospitality were less transparent than for other MPs. Lists of hospitality received by ministers were only published by Whitehall departments once a quarter and did not include the value. In contrast, MPs and shadow ministers' interests must be declared within 28 days and include the cost of the hospitality. Tory ministers use this loophole even when events appear to have had little connection to their government roles. Both the House of Commons Committee on Standards and the Committee on Standards in Public Life have called for this disparity to be removed. Under the last Government, Labour frontbenchers who went to events could end up sitting next to their Tory counterparts. Labour MPs had to declare details on their MP register, importantly including value, while Tory ministers did not on the equivalent ministerial process. The Government will correct this imbalance. The Tory freebies loophole will be closed. In the future, the Government will publish a register of ministers' gifts and hospitality on a broadly equivalent basis to that which is published in the registers of members' and lords' interests. This will bring publication of ministerial transparency data more closely in line with the parliamentary regime for gifts and hospitality. The Government intends that these arrangements should be in place as soon as possible and will set out further details in due course. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister intends shortly to issue and publish an updated version of the Ministerial Code in which he will set out his expectations for the conduct of all who serve in government as ministers. As well as confirming these new reporting arrangements, this will also include additional guidance to ministers on the principles they should apply when considering whether to accept gifts or offers of hospitality, as part of the Government's work to restore public faith in politics as a force for good.
The Minister, John Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Right Honourable Lady for her response. On the steps of Downing Street on the 5th of July, the Prime Minister pledged to put country first and party second. Now, Labour ministers have now been beset by a series of scandals involving freebies. The Prime Minister has claimed that this was all a perfectly sensible arrangement. Does the Right Honourable Lady still believe this? What gifts and hospitality can ministers now accept? Can Cabinet ministers continue to party in DJ booths in Ibiza? Will ministers be banned from taking junkets at the Oasis 25 tour? Or was it just Taylor Swift that was a handout too far? What role did Downing Street play in the VIP escort further to the free tickets for Taylor Swift from Universal Music? Have all the political staff in the Prime Minister's parliamentary office correctly declared their financial interests and hospitality? The new Chief of Staff's entry seems very empty. Have all ministerial donations in kind been declared at their full market value? Why do ministers refuse in PQs to say when the new ministerial transparency platform will go live? Isn't the sheer scale of the Prime Minister's beneficiary of others' largesse now a conflict of interest? Will the Right Honourable Lady confirm that the Prime Minister is taking a donation in kind of £100,000 a year from Arsenal Football Club, and will he now recuse himself from the Football Governance Bill? Amidst scandals like cash for croissant, free gear care and passes for glasses, where is Labour's new Ethics and Integrity Commission? And what have Labour donors got in return for their generosity? What discussions did the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff have with the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, with Lord Alley, on ministerial appointments and public appointments? Will ministers place in the library all the documents relating to Lord Ali's Operation Integrity? And finally, can the Minister without portfolio explain to this House why the millionaire Prime Minister can't clothe himself without gifts from others?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As I've already said to the right honourable gentleman in my first response, this government is committed to rebuilding trust in politics. The Prime Minister has commissioned a new set of principles on gifts and hospitality, which will be published shortly. This will outlaw the Tory freebie loophole because this government is committed to being more upfront and open than our predecessors. But we will take no lectures from the party opposite on gifts and hospitality, standards in public life or trust in politics. Let me tell the right honourable gentleman what shattered trust in politics: the behaviour of the Conservatives in their 14 years in power. Partying in Downing Street whilst the whole country sacrificed their freedom, handing lucrative COVID contracts to friends and donors, failing to expel MPs caught breaking the rules. That's the difference between this government and the last one. We are strengthening the rules. When Owen Paterson was found to have broken the rules, they tried to rip them up. And now the Conservatives want us to believe they care about trust in politics. Mr Speaker, this is utterly shameless. And of course, it was not just Tory sleaze and scandal that has eroded trust. Just as corrosive has been the complete and utter failure